Hi, welcome back to David Bowles' Human Meme. In this podcast, we're going to discuss podcasting, the podcast. And as you may be able to tell already, we have new software, new hardware, new hosting service, and we're going to get into all of that fun in just a moment. But first, I have to answer a couple of inquiries I have based on some previous podcasts. I was asked, what is this Yale Mafia that you discuss? I brought it up in my Education and the Uneven Mind podcast. The Yale School of Drama Mafia is generational. It probably started in the late 60s, a few people at Yale. Graduate school of drama had great success in New York City. They brought in their friends from Connecticut after they graduated, creating this circle that could not be breached by outsiders, and that's why it kind of got the nickname Yale Mafia, that if you weren't from Yale, you weren't going to work in New York. And some of the biggest stars were Chris Durang, Wendy Wasserstein, Albert Inarato. The list goes on. And the Yale Mafia is still going strong today, but since most of the original gangsters are dead or retired, the effect isn't quite as strong. Globalization has also helped defeat that mob. Now it doesn't really matter where you came from, because if you're talented, you can get into New York and you can work well. But in the 1970s, 1980s, if you wanted to work hardcore theater as a lifestyle, as a job in New York City, you needed to know Yaleys. Now we'll discuss the technocrat details of this podcast. It may be a little dry for some, but if you're thinking about starting your own podcast or making some changes, some of the pitfalls and pinnacles that I have stumbled upon myself might help you not make the same mistake. And if you happen to like this Human Meme podcast, I've learned it is really super important to get a good 5-star rating on iTunes. It matters. It helps. You can help find the iTunes link for this show on humanmeme, humanmeme.com. Right at the top left portion of the page has a podcast icon. Click that. Give us a good review. I do thank you. So why do we podcast? I'm asked that. Why? You have a blog, you write books, you write articles for newspapers and periodicals, you have too many websites. Why are you adding this? And the answer is complex and simple. I sort of missed my old radio days in the 1980s when I had a interview show called Unique Youth on the radio, KFOR 1240 AM, KFRX 102.7 FM. It aired at 5:30 in the morning on Fridays, I believe. And podcasts sort of recreate that direct experience. Here, talking one-on-one, direct communication is enchanting. Also, you never know when you're going to go. And when I mean go, I mean done. Old age creeps upon you, sickness, life itself, it all takes you away, and then it's over. So a podcast, for me, is one more pathway to record and preserve the truth of what we know. And as long as you continue to pay your podcasting hosting bill, you'll last forever. So in lieu of that, please download all of these Human Meme podcasts, save them, treasure them, polish them if you like. But that way you can help propagate these ideas that we share now and forever, even if I don't pay my hosting bill because I'm in the grave. Podcast topics, as we've discussed in previous conversations, the human meme, how we learn, how we become to know who we are, why we learn, how do we share. Those are the most important topics, ways of knowing. So hosting is really quite interesting. I love SoundCloud.com. I've been on there for several years at the highest pro level. But they do have some financial problems. They've lost hundreds of millions of dollars. Twitter invested $77 million, I believe, in January. They have a beautiful player that embeds on WordPress.com very easily on all of my private websites. It's gorgeous. But podcasting takes a lot of time and effort. And if something's going to blow up in your face or go out of business overnight and you lose everything you've been working on, you don't want to have to reconstruct something. I looked at Blueberry, and their website is BLUBRRY.com. They are a niche business where they work in hosting podcasts. They are WordPress-based. And in my brief experience doing a trial with them, it was difficult just on your own to try to figure out how to connect your audio files and their web service, which I guess is a WordPress blog. I could never really quite figure it out. And I already have a WordPress.com blog, and so the frustration I was feeling with this .org version of setting up this podcast was odd to me, and I didn't like the feeling. Not that we don't love WordPress. We've been on WordPress since the beginning. And I say that I've been running 15 blogs simultaneously. I now run one blog, bowlesblogs.com. So I'm speaking as a WordPress fan. And if you are on WordPress.com, you can host your own podcast. They've actually kind of set it up. It's a little rudimentary. You can't really drill down into the granular details, but it's easy enough to set up. You post your audio files as a post. They go out in your RSS feed, a specific RSS feed. iTunes will pick it up. You're podcasting. Very simple. Then I happened upon the granddaddy of them all, Libsyn.com, Libsyn.com. That means liberated syndication, or as I like to say, liberated synesthesia. And if you're not getting the joke, please go to bowlesblogs.com and look for a post on synesthesia. You might not be laughing, but at least you'll know about my sense of humor. So Libsyn was the most robust and easiest choice for me to make in the end. They are really the king of the podcasting niche, although they oddly don't offer any kind of technical support on the weekend. So I would suggest if you're going to publish and work on stuff, do it Monday through Friday, because if you send them an email on Friday afternoon, you're not going to get a response until Monday mid-morning. Libsyn also offers a custom domain, humanmeme.com, instead of a subdomain, which is really great and really important to me. So in the end, it's about $22 a month for me currently to have a custom domain on Libsyn and get the enhanced statistics package on who's listening, where, and how. And when it comes down to it, just pick the king of the niche when it comes to doing something of the technocrat. You won't be sorry. Podcasting hardware. The first 10 episodes of this podcast were recorded on my iPhone 6S Plus. It was easy, it worked well, a little bit of popping of the P's, but not terribly annoying. And I may use that iPhone again in the future while out in the field or doing an interview with someone because it makes it very easy. I moved up to a dedicated microphone that I'm using right now for the first time in this podcast history. It is the Audio-Technica AT2020 USB mic. Yes, USB. It plugs right into my Mac, and it sounds freaking great. I'm using it right now. You can also plug in your headphones to the mic if you want to listen to what you're saying and how you sound. So the mic is input and output at the same time. So in the Mac, you'll set it all up in your settings. Just remember you want to change it all back when you're done recording because otherwise you won't hear anything out of your regular speakers. And speaking of speakers, how do we listen? I use the Sony MDR V6 headphones. They are the best ever made. I've had probably 5 of them over the last 35 years. An incredible bargain. They are not muddy or tinny. They're very true sounding. They're closed on your head, so you don't have any background noise. No one can bother you. The sound is true. I used them as my radio headset in the 1980s. Tried and true. I also have a headphone controller. And I never knew I needed one, but now that I have one, I don't know how I lived without one. I have the FIO, F-I-I-O, E10K. Here's the official description. A multifunction USB audio decoder. And I use it to control the volume of my headset and speakers. It's USB, plugs in. My headphone jack is now free. I plug my speakers into the back of it, my headphone in the front of it, and it's all combined together. It is really terrific. It is its own external sound card. Now I can switch between headphones and speakers without even thinking about it. Breaking down the price, the AT2020 USB microphone, about $120. The FIO, $75. It's very tiny. It's like the size of a book of matches or a lighter. And it looks huge when you look at an image of it online. So don't be fooled. It's really very disturbingly tiny. The Sony MDR V6 headphones are going to run you about $80. Software. On the iPhone, I was using an app called Voice Record. Extremely good. It was around $10, I think. You can record, edit, upload, all from the app. It was slick and fast, and it sounded really, really good. Now, on my Mac, it's Rogue Amoeba all the way. I use Audio Hijack for recording, and their Fission program for editing. They work together easily and seamlessly. Fission was supposed to upload directly to SoundCloud, but it never worked for me. I don't know why. But now, that doesn't matter since we're on Libsyn. Audacity is also a free audio recorder for the Mac. When you download it and install it, it is unsigned software, so it's not an instant install. You kind of have to go around things if you have your Mac locked down. And it's ugly, but it's functional, and it's free. I prefer beauty and form and a more aesthetic function. I use Audio Hijack because it lets me drag and drop function. I can record Skype, Google Hangouts, FaceTime, all for audio interviews by just dragging a couple of things around. It's very visual, very simple. So in the future, my hope is I can bring in outside voices to this podcast, and that is exciting to me because it gives us a longer tail and a stretchier reach. So it's around $60, I would say, for both the Audio Hijack and Fission programs from Rogue Amoeba. I believe they have a free trial, so you can download it, use it, find out how wonderful it is. You'll never go back. You can even, using Hijack, record web audio very, very easily. It makes it so simple. Finally, domain names. I am the proud owner of humanmeme.com, and as you know, via our Twitter conversation, humanmeming.com, humanmeming.com. They both take you to the new homepage of this podcast, where you can play episodes right from your web browser. And it's a little bit of a plain experience, but it's workable. It's not really terribly beautiful, but it's enough. And on the bowles.com webpage for this podcast, look under the media section. There's also a larger player there that you might enjoy. You start one and it'll just play everything. So we have a new sound, but we have the same intention. Quantification matters. The aesthetic experience must never be misbegotten or betrayed. I thank you for listening. Be a human meme.